Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. GeekVerse podcast reviewing episode 5 of Halo. This is a spoilers review. This is pod racing, Taylor Field.
Chief Stop, Kirklin Patzer.
Adam Harcaster, Dilmas.
Yes, and a couple of plugs here. You can find us in the search bar with Internet Connection. GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerse is our Twitter. GeekVerse on our Facebook. And then you can get us on the Patreon and get ad-free early episodes there. Exclusive content and all that jazz. Gentlemen, what else do we got? What's popping this week?
Spicy episode of Side Quest, which, we talked about Avengers a lot, and we were talking about how there hasn't been any news. And then, like, an hour after the episode went live, after months of silence, they finally came up with some news. So me and Kirklin will break that down next week, along with some other stuff. So Side Quest is popping as per usual.
Very excited. Travis, actually, Taylor, you're on the Northman review, right? We're
I
dropping
see
that
it
Friday
tonight.
night.
Yeah.
Oh, you're seeing it tonight? Okay,
No
I'm
one
seeing it
wants to see
tomorrow,
with me.
right after work. I'm excited because this is actually the first time Shay and I have gone to a movie together since Spider-Man. Funny enough, she's always working for these movie releases, and I was smart about this because I know she's like a very specific taste for movies, and like this genre is not hers.
It's a very specific genre.
I got her to say yes, she'll go before I even showed her the trailer, and I showed the trailer, and she's just like, meh. I'm like, yeah, not your genre, eh? But still, she said yes. So very excited to go see that with her, and I watched the trailer again just today, and I'm so hyped for that movie. So I'm very excited to review that with the lads. I think it's just you, me, and Travis. Dylan, I can't imagine you're seeing that one.
For North,
I shouldn't say that. I can imagine you say it, or seeing it, but I don't think.
I am curious to hear how it is, and then if it's good, I will watch it later on VOD. That's my
good
my
good
stance
method.
on that one.
It's a sound plan.
After 9, the Saturday.
After 9 is
6
back
p.m.
Saturday.
Pacific Standard Time. Very excited. Those are always so much fun. Check out the Patreons and just get everyone's takes on whatever's been happening. Hopefully, some people have been seeing Halo. I want to get the Patreon's thoughts on Halo.
That should be a topic of discussion for this
The
episode,
main-
for sure.
I don't think
It's like-
there'll be much discussion. I feel like not a lot of people are watching it.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, yeah, speaking of Halo, I mean, what did you guys think, non-spoilers, of this episode?
Episode 5, The Reckoning. I'll go first because I'm stealing it away from you lads. I didn't think this was a terrible episode. The ending I was actually pretty pumped on. I know spoilers or anything, but I feel like it was just some stuff that I kind of wanted pretty much the whole series to be. I'm continuing to just not like Master Chief, and it's not like this episode happened. I'm like, oh, I really don't like this guy now. It was already just I didn't really care for him. Halsey's just continuing to be a bitch, and I'm not saying like the actress or anything. It's just that that's who the character is supposed to be, right? Like since last week's episode, I actually purchased Master Chief Collection. I was playing a bit of Reach, and like she's in that
nice.
game, and I'm like, oh, she's a bitch in this too. Like, is that just the thing with Halsey throughout the Halo series?
Yeah, she's a work first, everyone else second.
Yeah, she's an asshole, unlikable character, but she's doing the Halsey things, I guess. There's a couple more character things that happen that I feel like there's some characters I'm just really, really not liking like at all, and I'm just like, why are they even in the show here? Maybe it's like a hyperbole, a little bit of extreme example, but there's just some things that are going on. I'm dancing around spoilers here, but yeah, all in all, the show's still like it. I think this episode happened, and I'm not losing interest more so than I already was. And I'm not gaining interest more so, or maybe that's a lie. Maybe the ending of this episode has me kind of excited for next week a little bit. That's my cryptic spoiler free breakdown. What about you?
I'll jump in here. I feel like this was what we've been waiting for in a lot of ways, and what we've been asking for. Where I feel like this episode was shorter runtime. I think it was like roughly like 10 minutes shorter than the rest of them.
Yeah.
So I feel like it moved at a lot better of a pace. I feel like we spent less time in just kind of these slower sequences, where that's kind of a problem I've had with the show so far, is that there's a lot of these kind of parallel storylines going on, and some of them are just like sluggishly slow. And I feel like there was one of those this week, one of the storylines, I was like, wow. I feel like it only had like 4 or 5 minutes of screen time, but that felt like an hour somehow. But overall, I think the episode like went a lot quicker, and we got like that action that we've been asking for. and you get a lot more helmet time in this episode for the people who like that kind of thing. So I feel like in many ways this is maybe the best episode, which is weird to say because I feel like story-wise there isn't a ton that happens here, but there is also a good amount that happens here story-wise. So, I immediately take that back. There is some good story stuff. So I think this is maybe the best episode. And, not to say that it's like a 10 out of 10 best show in the world by any means, but it's definitely felt like a step up. It felt like a couple steps up for me. So, I'm excited to break it down. Although I feel like there's less weird story things to break down than some of our other episodes. But anyway, I'm excited to get into it. But Taylor, where are you on this week? I feel like this seemed like a Taylor episode. Taylor-sode.
This is a
Taylor-sode.
Sure.
I like that.
I need to just lay the groundwork here now and say this. All today, I've just been seeing online in the chat rooms and stuff, people's comments saying like, "Oh, look at all the Halo fans on board now for this episode." I'm sure that's how they actually sound when they type these comments in too. But I'm just gonna come on and say, like, you know what? This was a genuinely good Halo episode, and if you want to mock all the Halo lovers out there for liking this episode and being on the bandwagon now, go ahead. I got nothing to lose. Like, I know my Halo. And if you enjoy Halo with the weird shit they've been doing the past few episodes, that's good. I've been mixed and torn the weird shit. Like I said, like I've had this weird kind of relationship with these episodes so far where they have a weird way of telling this story and have this distorted character development, I guess, from the narrative I'm used to in the games. And there's elements of Halo trickled in, and that's what's kind of pulling me in, that I like it, and then I'm just along for the ride for the weird stuff. And this episode just felt like a heavy dose of the good stuff with the weird stuff finally trickled in. So it was kind of more or less on the reverse of what I was usually feeling these past episodes. So I'm very happy for the most part with this episode. It was great. They did a lot of very, very cool things. We got to see a lot of really, really cool things, and they had a good dosage of backstory elements that kind of shed a little bit of light on the overall kind of picture of what we're trying to figure out. And especially for people that aren't familiar with the Halo storyline, they can kind of pick up a little bit more of the background, I guess, information. So, yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, this
Beautiful.
felt like this was a Halo episode. I've talked about in the other ones how, like he's not wearing his helmet very much, and sometimes it feels like there's no Halo to be found here. Like this is just some random sci-fi show, but this was some Halo goodness. So
It really, really was.
I definitely agree that this is like probably the most Chief with the helmet on in the episode.
Do you think he had more helmet on than off in this episode? I feel
definitely
like
not.
Maybe was...
No, definitely not. That's
Really?
what I was getting
Okay.
to. No, that's what I was getting to. It's like, okay, there's significantly amount, or it's a significant amount more of helmet time, but there's still so many times when he took the helmet off, I'm like, this is so unnecessary. Like I understand they're like, okay, to get Pablo, I think is the actor's name, like just to have his like reaction to something, but I'm like, there was many, and this isn't even really spoilers, but there was still some times when they had like the Iron Man like footage, right, where it's like inside the helmet and you have his reaction. I'm like, they could have just done this so many times in the show, but there's just so many times when you just see him like do this motion before he takes the helmet. I'm like, oh fuck, here we go.
It's so funny to me when he does that and then just doesn't actually react to anything. Like he just stands there with a solemn face.
It like cuts to the next scene. It's like, what the fuck just happened there?
You mentioned a good point there, Kirklin. Actually, he again, not a spoiler, but I think good storytelling is when you can have this character with the helmet on and everything convey the message of how this character that we're learning about feels. And you said it, Dylan. When the helmet's off, he just looks like a bloody Easter Island head, just with motionless, just no animation coming out of him at all. It's just not emoting well. So.
I mean, go see Mando, right? Like he never takes the helmet off, maybe once or twice in that show. Don't think it's a spoiler, but still, like just him like standing there, or maybe like the way he moves his head like slightly, like, you can feel the emotion without actually seeing his face. And they don't even do like the Iron Man thing of seeing. Again, funny enough, his name's Pablo. Or
Pedro.
Pedro. Oh my gosh. I got
5
P on
letters,
the
starts with a P.
Pablo on the brain. Yeah. Pedro, never mind. Jeez, take me away. Take me to spoilers. So I can't think straight right now.
Yeah, if anyone has any last minute non-spoilers things, we'll get into an ad break here.
Let's get into it.
Okay, we'll be right back. And we're back. So where do you guys want to start?
I don't know. Do we want to like summarize some of the things before we get into the battle, or do we want to jump right into the battle?
I mean, I was thinking just quickly get like the write-off storyline. Dylan, you're I'm pretty sure this is what you're talking about
Yeah.
before with like Quan Ha and Soren 66. Man,
my God.
I am just more and more convinced that this is so unnecessary to even have them in the show. Like this is the shortest episode in the series.
They did
and
not need to be in this episode.
They did not
at
need to be in
all.
there. We could have had this like a clean 29-minute episode if we just cut all their stuff out. I'm still like perplexed on why they were even in it. Like what did it give to the story? Like really? Like to Master Chief's journey? Like I hope this leads to them finding their own fucking Forerunner artable or something, because if not, this is so unnecessary. She keeps just saying like I'm gonna be the last revolutionary, you know, like I'm I'm gonna die for this. And I'm just like this is a side quest, and this is a side quest for not even like our main character. Like this is so bizarre. Yeah, no, I feel like my peak of like liking that character of Quan Ha was in the first episode, and it's
Yeah.
just been going downhill ever since.
I agree.
Never really like Soren. He's just a piece of shit character, and like the more screen time he has, the more I'm convinced he's just a bad person. Like overall, like there's no like really redeeming qualities for him. At least that's what I'm thinking. I don't know. I wanted to mention because again, they're not in it much, but before we get into the battle stuff, I think that's really all I had to say on them.
No, that's definitely the scene or the storyline
figured.
I was talking
Yeah.
about. And yeah, I mean, I just feel like this is one of those things too where they do this a lot in the show, where like there is a character storyline that is going somewhere, and they feel the need to sprinkle in like a little bit of every episode, which I understand that. But at the same time, you have like the last week on Halo kind of thing where it catches you up on like what you need to know. So I feel like remove that from this episode, whatever she does in the next episode or 2 episodes from now, whatever, like finally when she does something interesting, you could just have a little recap of like, hey, here's what she did last. And then you could have whatever was in this episode, condense that to like a minute or 2 maybe, and then you're good to go. And I feel like the pacing would be a lot better because as it stands, like you just got like a whole minute, a whole 60 seconds of her just like smashing her handcuffs.
It was
And,
so
like,
long.
I guess it's maybe fun, you get to see her like showing some emotion, but it's just it was so bland, especially when there's a lot of other good stuff going on in this episode. I'm with you, Kirklin, where I think I can't remember. Was it the second episode when she was already separated from Chief? I think they were still together in the second episode, right?
End of
I
the
think that-
second episode.
that-
they said
yeah,
that.
that's when he like
So I think
hands her
for me,
off.
that's when it just like fell off a cliff. Is everything after
Yeah.
she's no longer with him, because that dynamic was interesting, but now we don't get any of that because they have no way to communicate with each other and they're just doing completely different stuff. So
100%. In that moment when she's just grabbing rocks, and yeah, it was a long sequence of her just smashing these brittle rocks on this handcuff. What did it lead to? Okay, she got out of the handcuff, and then what happened? We don't fucking know.
hides in the sand.
I was kind of expecting her to like find something of like the Forerunner tech, because I'm like, okay, this is where they actually are like getting brought back into the main storyline here, but it did not happen, and it left on a weird cliffhanger of her. Is she gonna kill Soren? Is she not? What's gonna happen there? Tune in next time. Like, if I'm tuning in next time and it's not just to be a part, of this review, it's not for that character or those 2 characters there to find out that storyline. So, Taylor, what do you think of our favorite side quest members?
Jesus Christ, I fucking hated it. Like it was so unnecessary. Like you said it, Dylan. Like that full minute of her just like smashing the rock, then a top-down view of her going on the sand. It's like, this is so annoying. I'm sorry. Why is this relevant to the story?
was
It's
your
not.
reaction like this?
Holy God, what are you showing me? His head. Come on.
Oh, Travis is gonna love that.
It literally was that though. Like actually,
It was. It really, really was. But yeah, it was unnecessary. The whole stuff with Soren, like, I don't know why we had to take probably about 6 minutes of screen time to show this dynamic of the bike breaking down, him going off, coming back with a dune buggy, and then him just being like jabbed with this like I don't know, not inoculating whatever.
Yeah.
It's useless. It's absolutely useless. They could have done this at the end of the last episode as a cliffhanger. So here we are.
Yeah, and it's hard, just because like last episode we talked about how we weren't necessarily a fan of the story stuff that happens and with Madrigal and all that stuff. So like I'm just not feeling terribly invested in this place either. Like I feel like in the first episode I was maybe interested in a couple of those characters, but they all died except for Quan, right? And now we're just like fighting for this cause, but like we don't really have any players that we care about. And yeah, like we said last week too, a lot of them died. So Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't know if there's much more to break down there if we want to move on, but
Well, yeah, very quickly, just since you're mentioning Madrigal, that's the planet, right?
yeah.
Yeah. Because like my peaked interest on it was definitely the first episode, and then I was kind of intrigued again when, again, it's funny enough, these two characters are in like that market, and then we just get that's where like the vendor was auctioning off like a UNSC helmet, and like that stuff was kind of fun. But it's funny because that's not really related to these characters. It's just like world building stuff on Madrigal.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, no, we can move along. We probably spent the same amount of screen time that they got on this subject.
I will say, like, one last note on that. Just, I thought it was fucking hilarious how she just came out of the sand and just took him out.
It was like the Dune trick, right?
It was the Dune trick.
The natives
she
of
watched
Arrakis.
it and thought, I'm gonna pull this up.
That's all you got when there's only sand around, I guess. That's the one trick.
Yeah, for sure. Just the side stuff is with them. It's just I'm liking it.
Where'd
less
she get
and
that
less.
weapon, by the way? Do you know? Her
Like
taser?
the poison dart thingy.
Yeah,
Question.
she just had it
Oh.
in
Just
her.
broke it off the motorbike, maybe.
Okay,
Yeah, maybe it was like some people
Stark Tech.
Trying to think like
Stuff
something else
before the
kinda-
battle.
Just stuff before the battle.
Well, we got the other flashback of
Yeah.
Chief's childhood. I'm curious what you guys thought about that, because we obviously have like seen a little bit of, or we got a little bit of his cutscenes like with his family, but now we actually saw, I guess, like what his childhood was kind of like, seeing the other
Yeah.
kids around and stuff like that.
I was kind of mixed on that. Because I do like seeing just like what is it supposed to be? It's like a school or something. Like
Yeah.
when Halsey's getting like the tour of it, they mention it's not.
I
An
think it was
orphanage
just
or
like the
something, right?
colony is what she's
Oh,
getting
okay.
a tour of.
Yeah.
Because they
I
like
see.
are setting up on this planet that wasn't habitable, and then they like have that tech, whatever.
I
It's like
see.
almost
Yeah.
like terraforming it in a way to make it livable, and so
Right.
she's just seeing what the people are like there, I guess.
I liked just like the tour guide kind of explaining like, yeah, we're exposing like the kids young to just like wanting to like bring in new life. Like I just liked all that stuff. That stuff was really fun. But then like I'm just really not a fan of like, again, Master Chief. I've said this multiple times, but just like they just see John as like this messiah, and like it's not even like he's gotten like these augments or anything to become like Master. I almost called him Halo, fucking casual to become Master Chief. It's just like they're wrestling, and then he just like grabs this kid from his ankle and like pulls him back up, and they're all like John, 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 and they're like cheers, and then Halsey's just like he's the one, he's like the chosen one, and it's just not working for me at all. It's so cheesy. Like I was literally chuckling out loud. I'm like, I can't believe this is happening right now. Like they're all just like this kid. First of all, terrible safety measures to just have these kids just on this
Kid was
tightrope
gonna break
thing
his
with
neck.
like literally falling head
dead.
first. But like when the chance came, like it's one thing to just have like John like be, of course he's the guy that just saves this kid, even though I'm pretty sure he's the one that like kicked the kid off the fucking drawbridge in the first place. Or
No, I
what's
think
that
it was.
called?
I
Not a
think it was the guy on
drawbridge.
the other side.
Was it? Okay. So,
think so.
okay. But anyways, when the chance came in and they're just like, John, as he's like pulling him up, I'm like, is this really happening right now? Holy fuck.
Jacked.
Yeah, he is jacked. It's just one arm lifting this kid that's probably bigger than him in the moment. But it's been a reoccurring thing with just like these flashbacks, and like Halsey just kind of knew that he was going to be like the chosen one. And I've said it before on a previous review where like, I don't think the show's doing a good job at explaining like why Master Chief is so special. It's just like, this is John 117 and he is the Master Chief. And the more they just like lean into the route of like, okay, viewer, we're not going to explain why he's special. He's just special. So just like take this scene, and like from Halsey's point of view, like just that moment of her like being enamored, like she's seeing the lost messiah, which is John. It's just like, it makes me chuckle because I'm like, this is so pathetic that they just don't have like even like a throwaway line of like this, he did this. And I guess maybe to push back on my own argument here of like they are explaining that like he kind of has some sort of attachment to the Forerunner thing, but in that flashback it's not like Halsey knew about that, right? She's just like seeing him, and as if he has like an aura about him that he's just the chosen one. It's not working for me. Hopefully in the future episodes they kind of, the more flashbacks we get, maybe there's some more explanation there, but I think what they've shown so far, they've done a poor job on it. Personally, that's the way I feel.
Yeah,
What do you guys
I think
think?
for me too, there's like a cheesiness to the way those scenes are shot. Like there's something with like this filter they have on the camera, And then there's even like just like Halsey, like I'm guessing she like throws a wig on for those scenes.
The wig
like,
got me.
And they throw a bunch of, they just like throw a ton of makeup on her face to make her look younger, I guess. But it like to me, it just looks like a Halloween costume or something.
She got off the runway or something. Her
Yeah.
hair was looking so prime, so wiggy.
It's so I think that part takes me out of it a bit. And I think for me, another thing with Halsey at this point is that you're right. Like she is such a piece of shit in the show, and we still haven't really got many reasons why she is the way she is. And I feel like that's maybe taken away a bit from this, where like, yeah, she literally just kidnaps him in like a terrible way after, just like kind of on a guess, as you're saying. Like there's not really much reason other than like some swole kid like saving someone else that she's like, oh, I gotta kidnap this one now. So I think I need more. Because like that's so, at least the last couple episodes, the flashbacks have been really tied to her character and her part of it, and so I'm feeling like I really need some more. Like I need her to talk to someone and like be just transparent with them about like what her intentions are. Because even with like her assistant dude, she's not sharing the full picture. So I feel like I'm in the dark, and we're on what episode? This is episode 5, and I still just like
halfway
like,
through.
they're setting her up as a villain, but like they're only showing like one side of it. So I think I just need a little bit more on Halsey to feel invested in these scenes.
For me, I really quite I pleasantly actually enjoyed these scenes, and this is where it was kind of getting into the books a little bit for me, where some of the other flashbacks have been exceptionally rocky at times, but this one I enjoy because we got to see them swapping the bodies, which is like a pivotal, unique Halo trope in the books and stuff, and even the other animated films and everything like that, where you see John being swapped out, or the Spartans, I guess. And I enjoyed that. I enjoyed really seeing it in the storyline. Glad they showed it and they stuck with that. You see the clone get put into the bed and stuff. The one thing I was a little abrasive on is seeing his kind of resistance. I always, and maybe this is just a fault of my own and how I interpret it, but my perspective was that he was more so willingly kind of gone with it, and then that leads into the whole indoctrination thing as to he believes in this whole cause, and we'll get into that later with some emotional trauma he's going through. But he freaked out, and that's okay. They can spin it as however they want. I'd be freaking out too if I was a little boy and I just see these black bandits just fucking taking me away. Like they had the cowboy black scarves and stuff like that. Like it's really,
I was confused. You said black bandits just taking them away. I'm like, oh,
this is the wet bandits.
Wet bandits. Leaving taps on, just flooding this new colony.
That's why they left the planet.
Halsey is a piece of shit. Make sure to plug all the taps, flush all the toilets.
On the counter to you mentioning that scene where like John, it is definitely.
Were you chanting? Were you hyped?
I was like John. I was a little abrasive with this, but overall I actually quite enjoyed it because with Halsey looking at John, they didn't know about Forerunner tech back then. That's something that's discovered like now when they found the artifact from Madrigal. So when she sees John, also shout outs to them having keys there as well. I really liked how they stuck to that as well from the books. But when she sees John and she just kind of takes in what he's capable of, I just love this factor that, okay, yes, he is, luck is his special trait, his attribute, but you don't have to blatantly cement that on in this show by the people being like, seeing him with super strength, John, as he's lifting up this kid that weighs at least 3 times his fucking size. But it is what it is, and it's okay. I can sit well with it. I'm glad you guys are not taking a liking to Halsey because, yeah, she is a very, like, piece of shit with what she does. She's very much like humanity is below, me, everything. They're sloppy, they're messy, but we can work towards being better versions of ourselves. And that's why she loves her Spartans so much, because her Spartans are a step in that direction of being the next step for humanity. So when you have her doing something like saving her daughter, that was a really nice dynamic to see, and just to get more of this backstory between her daughter and her, I'm enjoying it because there's such a strong rift that's going on that I've never gotten to experience.
That dynamic too between Halsey, is that her first name?
Catherine.
Okay. It throws me off when they all have different last names, but they're all kind of like related. Or I guess Miranda and what's Keys? I know her name is Miranda Keys, but what's her father's name? Like first name?
Yeah,
Just
what is
keys.
God, I forget.
Keys.
I like to make him young. They throw a fedora on him. And that's how they did it.
The attire. She got a full wig, makeup and everything. He's got like the exact same beard.
Yeah. They're like, what
Jacob
do we have
Keys.
at the studio that was young and hip? And they're like, fedora.
Just some interns like wearing it. It's like take that off, throw it on. But this dynamic between the two Keys and then Halsey, I'm wanting more. There was a little bit more of like that, I don't know, tension between I guess since the start of the show you could argue like there has been that tension between Halsey and Miranda, because like in the first episode they're talking about how they're kind of like fighting for, I don't know, authority over like who, or like what's it called, jurisdiction of like who's in charge of this. And I think that was fun, but it's kind of been like it was touched upon like episode 1, and then Miranda's just been like such a like side character kind of. I know she kind of has her own thing going on with, especially with Kai. That's kind of been a fun dynamic, but I think the whole Halsey, Miranda, and then Mr. Keys. I keep forgetting his name, so I'll just call him that. Jacob, there you go. I think this episode was kind of showing more of that, but it was like showing me some of it, but they just didn't really dive into it. So I'm hoping in the, because there's 10 episodes, I think, in the series, they said.
I think so,
Taylor,
yeah.
confirm that?
He's
thinking. But I think that's what it was. But anyways, I think that's a fun dynamic, like on paper, just to have like that type of relationship, right? Like, you have Mr. Keys, who's just like really really in love with his daughter, and like, maybe that's a weird thing to say. He just has a lot of like love for his daughter, and like it would be what you would expect from like a father-daughter relationship. And then Halsey is just, she doesn't really show like any parental or paternal, what's the right word there?
You would have to like remind me every episode that that's her mother, right? Because it doesn't feel like it at all. But
Yeah.
I thought that decision then from 9 episodes. Whoa.
I like it.
We got
I
a
like it.
banner now. Or what is it called? Like scrolling, whatever. I found like, because of that, I found that dynamic in this episode interesting from Jacob's perspective, that I've gotten this vibe that he's like really trying to empower his daughter and help her out, but not in a biased way. Like he realizes, he knows that she is good at what she does and she's passionate about it. So, God, you're throwing me off here with these goddamn banners.
Oh, I didn't even do a ticker on that. My bad.
He wants to support his daughter and he's trying to uplift her, but he blatantly goes against that in this episode,
Right.
for what feels like a biased reason. So he's kind of going against the other reason because he just fatherly. He wants to protect her for, I guess, if this project goes very wrong, he doesn't want her to be associated with it.
Yeah.
So I get that, but I guess to me, if you asked me like what he would have done in that situation, I would have thought he would go on a limb to like keep the resources to protect her and uplift her to keep doing that research and not take her out of that role. But
Right.
he was very quick. He didn't even consider it. He's like, she's gone. Take her off
This
the
is an
project.
order. Yeah.
Yeah. So to me, that seemed a bit off. But did you guys feel the same way there?
Yeah. Yeah, no, like I think for me it was a little bit easier to digest the fact of like, okay, this is just a parent like looking out for his daughter, because it seems like this whole situation with just Halsey and the whole like the whole Spartan thing, but also the Forerunner tech thing, like it just seems like it's got a trajectory to just be like kind of explode or implode. I don't know what would be the better plode of that situation, but like it just, I think from his perspective, it's like, okay, my number one priority is to look out for my daughter. I don't want her to get wrapped up in this, because there's some sketchy shit going on. Like, and like, I like, even for him, I think he's limited in everything that he kind of understands that Halsey's doing, but he still kind of has a feeling like, are they married like right now, or is this like a divorce thing, or are they just?
They can be if you want them to be.
Okay, I'll head canon.
It's really unclear, that's for sure.
Yeah, I'll say they sleep in different beds. I'll go that far. I don't think they have a healthy relationship.
Absolutely.
So I think from like his perspective, I was able to be like, okay, like it's almost like a parent explaining to like a young child, like, hey, don't do this, and you have to not do it because I tell you. Like, I could explain it later in life, but like right now, you just have to take my word for it. Like, I know what's best for you. That's the way I kind of took that situation. And I thought when she heard that news, like she kind of like she was good emotionally, like from the actress. I thought she portrayed that pretty good. Of like, this is unfair, but also this is still your superior. So she kind of just like took the order. I can imagine in a couple episodes she's going to be doing some things off the books because she's like this is like her I don't want to say life project, but she's really invested in this thing. And like as you could see when the artifact, I forgot the word for a second, but when the artifact does that like call to whatever happens, she's just like super excited and she kind of understands what's going on. Like I maybe she doesn't understand like the science behind it, but she's like, oh, I think it's communicating with something, and she's getting like giddy because it's like I can only imagine being like a scientist and like you're studying this, and then it's something's happening, and you're like, oh, this is so exciting, like what's going on here, and then someone comes in and just pulls the rug from you, like, no, this just forget about this, focus on the linguistic side. I think she was able to show that like emotionally very well, so credits to the actress there, and I am excited going forward to see what happens with Miranda. I think and. Because like last episode, I was liking the dynamic between her and Kai, and especially because when we first meet Miranda, she's really just kind of sketched out of the Spartans. Like she doesn't trust them. Like she just thinks that they're Halsey's like pet project. And then we got some life from Kai, and then when they were kind of meeting somewhere in the middle and just explaining like kind of their own stories. I mean, Kai doesn't have the pellets, so she can actually be a human now. Like just show her own thoughts. I think all of that stuff was kind of fun. I don't even know how I was going on a tangent from originally like the triangle between Miranda, Mr. Keys, and Halsey. I think that whole situation, there's a lot of potential to have some good storytelling there, and I think they're kind of scratching the surface on it. I just want them to dive right into the pool and get right into it. It's tough when you have a character like Halsey who's she just seems like a robot. Like she just doesn't seem like she has a daughter or like a husband or anything. Like she just seems such an asshole that she has like no focus on these things. And then in this episode, you have her like sacrificing herself basically, right? Like she goes into an active battlefield to go save her daughter.
Yeah.
I was surprised by it, and I don't even want to say in like a positive sense, like, oh wow, I'm really impressed that she did this. For me personally, I'm like, this seems out of character for her to do this, and I hope that gets explored more. I was talking a lot there. I'll pass it off to you guys.
Well, I'll just say that on that part where she goes into the help Miranda out, I found that whole part weird because she knew that Miranda was inside of is that called a pelican, Taylor? That's my Halo knowledge.
I think that was a condor, I think.
Okay. Well, anyway, she was in the ship.
Confirm him.
And yeah, I just felt like that whole time, like Halsey would, if she was really a great mother, she would be like, well, the artifact is going towards this thing that the Covenant clearly won't. Like, that seems really risky for her. Like, very easily, the Covenant could just blow that up in an instant to try and get that artifact without caring who's in there. So I thought that was risky. But then, yeah, she did go out there on her own when she could have sent someone to go save her. So, yeah, I felt like her priority was more on the artifact than it was on her daughter. But still, she still went out there and helped out when she could. So, yeah, I thought it was okay. But pass off to Taylor. What do you think about this dynamic?
Again, like I'll just reiterate kind of what you guys are saying a little bit. It was cool to see her make that move and save Miranda out there. I think it's uncharacteristic, but still fitting of her character a little bit. And I feel like it was only at the time when she couldn't fixate herself on the artifact making it into the ship anymore, because it got launched out onto the ground and Chief has run off and he's gone AWOL doing his own thing. And I think, okay, she can't focus on it in the Warthog coming straight to the ship, so she's got to focus on now her daughter, which caught her attention. So she's just fixating on different things, and that's totally fine. I do think that the whole Jacob Keyes thing, kind of relinquishing her Miranda's focus on these artifacts and such, I think it was warranted because you want to protect her. Now he's realizing like, shit, I'm probably being a little bit exposed here because I am just as guilty as Catherine is on abducting these orphans, or not orphans, but abducting these children. So I think that's an interesting dynamic. Yeah, and he doesn't want his daughter to know that. I mean, I wouldn't want to tell my kids that I abducted young kids for genetic augmentations to save humanity, but it is what it is.
It's interesting because he, like, from the beginning of the show, he's like a hard ass commander or whatever the hell he is, but he's still like a pretty likable, at least in my eyes. Like I've always kind of liked his dynamic between him and Miranda, like from the start of the show. So the fact that he was there in that flashback and he knows he's kind of a part. Like his hands aren't clean out of this whole situation, and that's interesting for me because it's like, oh, okay, this character that I thought was very likable like actually has some dark secrets, and again, I just hope that gets explored more. Because like Halsey, I'm not even expecting anything from her like redemption wise. It's just like she's a complete piece of shit. So he's a lot more likable in my eyes, and I'm excited to just see where that whole dynamic between those two goes, and then also you throw Miranda in there.
I've got another Halsey dynamic I want to throw at you guys, but before we do that, we'll jump to a quick ad break. And we're back. So what did you guys think when Chief was just about to fucking deck Halsey there?
Oh my god.
I
That was
LOL'd.
crazy, man.
I literally LOL'd. I think it was mostly like the look in his eyes. I'm like, oh yeah, that's my Master Chief right there.
It was like a 10-second build-up of just him like never using expression before.
I know. Yeah, like just to go even further too, like the initial jump, like I understand he's fucking pissed off, and then he just like gets shut down. You know, okay, that's kind of cool. So Cortana just someone's got to do an edit of like the windows like powering off, because that's basically what happened for him. Right? It's like
genius.
And he just like goes down, and then he comes back up, and like he literally almost just assaulted like this upper person, you know, in the hierarchy. Like that's probably a pretty fucking big deal in the military, I would imagine. And then what happens? Okay, Chief, we got to go battle these people. Here's a gun. Like, let's just go. Like, there's no consequence for his actions at all. And like, since was it the first episode when he gets arrested, or was that the second episode? And like arrested, I mean, like he kind of got just like taken from this location in handcuffs to another location, and then what happened after that? He's just out of handcuffs. There's no charge on him. Like he's a carte blanche when it comes to like illegal activity, it seems, and that's just like it led to an awesome action sequence. That was my favorite part of the whole episode, but I just couldn't believe that like we couldn't even have like, I don't know, a small scene of like some repercussion of what just happened for him. Like it's like, are they ever going to talk about that he just actually almost assaulted Halsey? Probably, but like I wouldn't be surprised if we don't. Like honestly, that I just couldn't believe that we went from this guy about to execute this this POS lady, but still, I was baffled. I was baffled in that scene.
Yeah, I had to watch it twice because it was just so. It was like actively funny to me, and it was like also surprised. Like I was a bit scared. I'm like, I've never seen this guy act before. Like what's going on? Being a bit dramatic there, but you know what I mean. But yeah, I did find the transition a bit weird from going from, I mean, just this intense anger, which is very justified based on this flashback that he had, and like just a death gaze, like he was gonna kill her, and then. I mean, even to me, I feel like he would be extra pissed off when he woke up because, like, oh, so at any point, Halsey has the power to just, like, kill me, essentially. Like, maybe, I guess he still hasn't necessarily associated that Halsey has complete control over Cortana and therefore him in a way. But still, like, I feel like he would be extra pissed off that, like, yeah, at any moment they could just instantly kill him and there's nothing he can do about it whatsoever. Like, he has no power over that whatsoever. Like, that's kind of a scary thought. But then, yeah, and, like, in the next scene, Halsey's like, hey, can you like pick up this artifact for me and like take it over to Miranda? And he's like, you got it. And he doesn't even care. Like, I get it. You're in a battle situation. You got to do what you got to do. But I feel like his motivation there would go from save the artifact to like, okay, save the people around here, take out these Covenant. But I don't know why he is doing her bidding and getting the artifact at this point.
I honestly just interpret it as this is my way to get to Halsey because they weren't telling me where she was now. Now I'll get to see where she is if I bring her the artifact.
Yeah, I mean, that is fair because she did say, like, when we get this artifact back home, I'll tell you everything. But, I mean, even in that moment, I would think that he would be asking more questions instead of instantly trying to kill her. Because what did he expect, right? Like, was he planning?
Like,
obviously, his anger took over. But was his intention
her
in that moment, even in the anger, which, he's still learning how to use anger because he's never had that before. But was his intention to kill her or knock her out?
He probably just wasn't thinking. I think if you want to give it some credit, like the show could probably explain that's what happened. His emotions got
I'm really
the best
curious
one.
to see the fallout of this next episode, and if we do get that explanation from Halsey, and if it's actually genuine, or if it's once again just her just ripping lies like crazy. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, man. Oh, I think they're Actually, I'll let Taylor go because I was gonna spin off a little bit away from that particular scene. Taylor, what do you think of the near Halsey execution from Master Chief, our protagonist?
One Punch Man over here.
Oh yeah, One Punch Man.
That was a Superman punch too. He like leaped.
Yeah.
Probably was like 7 feet in the air.
He put his whole body.
Oh, you gotta turn the video
Holy
feed.
God, what are you showing me? His head. Come on.
Oh, that's gold. Oh,
For the
I love
audio
it.
listeners, someone, I don't know who, put up a picture of Chief lying
that
on the
was
ground with his
Taylor.
eyes
That
rolled
was
in the back of
me.
his head. Oh, so good.
What a scene. Yeah, no, I just think it's absolutely just the wind up was just bonkers. Like I told you, Kirklin, like that. The 10 seconds of him just like you see, like you're trying to see, like, okay, is he gonna be calm? Is he gonna like receive this very well? No, like he's just his face just totally gives it away, and like I felt I felt Halsey's fear. I'd be like, this is fucking
I
terrifying.
hope I wish they did a quick shot to her face, just like like before her basically execution. I guess she dropped a quick one-liner.
They did, yeah, the one-liner, like Cortana, like initiate whatever. But like, fuck, like I'm not scared of the fact that he was about to kill me. Just like his facial expression with the Superman pose was just fucking wild. Again, that is one of the huge kickers for me of this episode that just didn't jive with me, was this whole scene. I really, really didn't like how he just got so emotionally compromised. He's standing in a distance looking at Halsey and Keys, and he's just like shaking his head left to right, like, fuck these guys. Like, what are you doing, Chief?
Yeah.
You got something better to do.
So just to play devil's advocate here, I feel like in that moment, especially when like he's asking questions to Cortana about like the files that are just completely gone, and it's like, okay, Cortana, you know everything about human history with room to spare. She drops that line. Okay, I'm
Except
about
for
this.
the
I don't
three
know.
questions he has.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I feel like, okay, like they're throwing those breadcrumbs that like Chief is starting to just think that Halsey's up to something, which, I mean, fuck, if he's intelligent, you'd think that he knew that by now, right? Just like with all the lies that she's been drawing. And I think, especially just the more flashbacks he gets, he's starting to understand that, which again, if you have a couple brain cells, I feel like you should be able to pick that up. So I think that's kind of what the purpose was for there. But yeah, it was so cheesy, especially, he's got to have the helmet off for this so that we can see him just, Halsey, fuck her. Just, ugh.
That scene, like, let's just hypothetically picture this, how scary it would have been if he's got the helmet on and he's just standing there and they have the same conversation and she's like 10 feet away from him and you can't see or read the situation. He's just standing there and she's like, like, we can talk about it after we get the artifact out of here. And then it's just like, let's say it's over her shoulder, a panned out shot a little bit, and there's just no hint at it. He just fucking full on sprints towards
Yeah.
her. Like, it would be
It's
terrifying.
like an energy sword lunge. Like he just
Yeah.
Oh,
zips
yeah.
across the
Commando
room.
Pro.
But fuck. No, we
Her
didn't get
reaction must have
that.
been like Oscar Isaac seeing the hippo, just like.
Oh my god.
Shifting gears, another thing just pre-battle that I liked. I like that. That's how we split up this episode: pre-battle and then battle. Is the other Spartans, the non-chief Spartans, are kind of having this. I guess they're talking to the troops, or whatever. And then Kai is asking Vanek. She's like, do you ever wonder like why the Covenant are trying to kill us? And he just passes it off. He's like, I don't wonder that. And she's like, do you ever wonder why you don't wonder that? And then he's like, I wonder if all that gun grease seeped into your brain with all these
Jesus
dumbass
Christ.
questions you're asking me.
That was good.
rolling. I
loved
loved
it.
that line. He just shut her down so bad.
Dude, yeah, like the whole like inquiries that she was giving this guy, I was just chuckling because I don't know if it was the giddiness in the way that she was kind of like asking these questions. I was just expecting her to ask something so fucking dumb, like I don't even know what to give an example for, but it was so strange. And then, do you ever wonder why you wonder that? And then it's like he does this one line. I was almost expecting to be like, do you ever wonder why you just said that to me? Like it was just so fucking ridiculous. Like the
Dumbass questions.
the writing there, yeah, the writing there was so strange. And for someone that's like supposed to be a robot like Vanek, like he can just still have, I wouldn't say a sense of humor, but just like whatever he's pulling from to like have that line? Like, is that just pre-written in the pellet
Yeah.
to just be like, if anyone asks you these questions, just diss them, diss their look right here. Yeah.
You'd think they would have some sort of camaraderie between them, but it seemed like he had no, like, ever since she dyed her hair, he's like, I do not care about this person whatsoever. Not that he has the capacity to care anyway, but.
Well, I thought they were kind of showing like certain sides of the Spartans when they were having that talk about like the animals that they had like in their boot camp training thing. Like they were giving them some personality for someone that had a pellet to basically have no personality. So I was kind of optimistic after that scene of like, okay, I'm excited to find out more about these Spartans and just see more of their personalities here. But no, I don't like going forward. I don't think we're gonna get that. I think Vanek's just gonna be this like soldier, like blank face, just sold like he just okay, chief, like one of those types of characters, which is disappointing. I think each Spartan has potential to just kind of like we're getting that a little bit with Kai, but I think it would have been kind of fun to have like an actual person behind these Spartan armors, you know, because they are all unique. Like they have different armor styles. They're all different Spartans, right? They're not just like UNC soldier number 1, number 2, like a cookie cutout. Cookie, yeah, you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. Taylor, what do you think about Vanek shitting on Kai's new hairstyle?
Oh,
imagine trying a new look and someone's just like shit talks like that. That probably would have.
Well, she knew it looked like shit, right? So she already admitted that last episode.
Is that gun grease too? I thought it was like blood that she had.
No, it
just became
the grease from when she was doing her sniper stuff.
Oh, okay. I literally like from the get go, I thought that was blood. That's where I'm like, I don't understand why this is still. Like, she's just not shower, I guess. It's just still there. It's permanent gun grease.
I don't think she does, no.
I quite enjoyed the scene. I was laughing just how he shuts her down and everything like that because she was getting like that little kid annoying. Her kind of escalating from that when she's talking to Chief. She's like, "Why'd you remove your pellet, Kai?" And he's like, "Well, I saw you do it." And he's like, and then he just like clears her for not being in combat, I guess. Like, yeah, you know, you return to the Condor or whatever. You're not clear for combat, Kai. You know, you're too dangerous. And she walks away like, what does that make you, Chief? You know, just throwing a little sass back at him.
Hypocritical.
Very hypocritical.
It's like, I'm the protagonist. I don't need any explanation.
Because he's the Master Chief.
I'm the Master Chief? Yeah, I'm the chosen one.
I will say, and maybe this is kind of segueing the battle a little bit, but not too much yet. I loved how we got to see more mental residual effects from removing her pellet in this episode. She just was really shaken up from
oh yeah, no, I'd like that too.
The blood and the gore and stuff like that. That was nice. Really, really good.
I think that's actually a really important touch too to have in there because it explains the benefit of having soldiers with these pellets that like they don't think about, you know, like, oh my God, my friends are dying here. I could potentially die here. Like if you just have those thoughts out, you have like a perfect soldier, right? Like all they're thinking about is the task. So yeah, good shout out there, Taylor. I definitely forgot that in my notes to bring that up. But in the moment, I thought that was a really cool, because like, yeah, her shields are breaking down and like it's as if you're playing Halo and your shields are down, but when you die, like you die in real life. Like that would have been fucking stressful, you know? Like if I'm getting the warning that my shields are gone, okay, if I die here, I'll just reload. But like that's a pretty intense thing, and then to just be a human in that situation, that's pretty stressful. So
I'm ready to jump into this battle. If you
jump
guys
into the battle.
Let's do it.
Yeah, no, pleasantly surprised. Chief got a fucking gun in this episode. I didn't think we were gonna get it for the rest of the show.
He had like 6-7 different guns.
100%. He was popping off. He had the full arsenal. Even picked up some Covenant weapons, an energy pistol in there, so that was fun. I thought he was going to get a sword at some point. We got some energy swords in the battle. I don't think I've ever seen a jackal with an energy sword before. Is that new?
Never.
Taylor?
That's new in my eyes.
Yeah.
But cool.
Did we get jackals before this point? I couldn't even remember.
I don't think so. This is the first grunt and jackal appearance.
Yeah, so we saw both those enemy types in the trailer. So I knew they were coming, and in the trailer, they actually got me really excited. I was like, I can't wait to see a live action grunt and like the jackals with the shields. I think that's just such a cool like defensive weapon in the Halo universe. So really, really pumped to see them. And just for I think this is where the budget kind of shined, like for when like the Banshees first showed up and it was just like a strafe run and the big explosions went off. All that stuff looked so good. Like it did not look like a CGI thing like at all, really. For me personally, I think all that stuff was so good. All all the combat was pumped, and that's where I was kind of hinting at, like, this is what I wanted from, like, I wanted the whole fucking series to be this. Understand that's not possible, but still, it was good to have those moments, and from start to finish, other than like some of the character stuff that we kind of picked at like during it that just didn't really make sense personally, I think all the action sequences looked really, really good.
I'm curious what you think, Taylor.
Oh, again, this battle was peak Halo, just getting into the groove of everything like that. Cortana whispering sweet nothings into his ears about just guy on the left, guy on the right. It was just super, super awesome. I felt like that was me playing Halo. It was just super, super subtle, and I really appreciate that.
Did you like the line?
Yeah.
The fourth wall kind of line that they were
I know how to play the game, Cortana.
I know how to play the
game. Yeah, I like that. That actually jived really well
It
with
wasn't
me.
too over top, right? Like,
No, it was good.
I think there was enough good action going on where I was like semi-eye roll, but I was just like, nah, the action's good enough.
How far did your eyes roll back as far as Chiefs?
Not
or-
quite Chiefs. You could still see the irises. It wasn't all white.
Good. It's not healthy.
It's not.
I really, really like the scene where the Warthog was going and the Spartans were all running ahead of it. It just goes to show
fucking
they're
fast,
super
man.
speed. Oh yeah, they're
Yeah.
fast. I love
Holy.
that representation. And that poor soul operating the gun just got fucking annihilated. He just got like, he looked and saw a few needles in his chest, and my first thought was like, okay, like that's unfortunate. And he just fucking explodes in the
Yeah.
cloud.
I love because we got to see like an actual like needler, like the gun that Kai was showing off in a previous episode, but to like see the effects of it, it's fucking awesome, man. And
Devastating.
all the audio effects, again, it's just like basically pulled from the games. I think all of that's awesome to have in there.
Definitely, it's a scene I'm gonna rewatch.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like many times
yeah,
over.
definitely. Yeah, I again just jumping on the Warthog bandwagon. I just love seeing them in action. I think it's just such an iconic like vehicle among just video games and stuff like that. Because I remember since the very first Halo, like literally on Xbox original, I remember just driving around in the Warthog, and I'm just like, this is such a cool like vehicle design. Again, it's just like kind of a Jeep that's souped up with like a big minigun on the back, but it's just, again, to see them live action. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't making me giddy.
Have you, Taylor? I don't remember this from the games. Do grunts ever drive warthogs? Do they ever take over a warthog?
I've
That
never
seemed
seen
really
that
weird to me.
before. Yeah,
Because I also feel like their legs aren't long enough to like operate the like, I'm
pedals.
guessing that warthogs have a gas pedal like a regular car, but it also just felt like I just feel like a grunt's brain would not be developed enough to think to do that. Was my thought. So it felt that part felt a bit weird. I don't know if that's nitpicky, but
this is a
it seemed
very
off.
bold grunt move, like maneuver. Like I
Didn't
respect
work very well either.
Didn't work very well. I respect the fact like that grunts would like jump onto something and try and do this, because even in the books, grunts have jumped on Chief, tried to pull the helmet off and stick a grenade in his suit, which I admire that kind of thinking. So I thought it was very funny, but I've never seen a grunt, even in the games, try to hijack my fucking
No.
Warthog.
It was bold because I'm used to them running away. No, it's just running like crazy if they're
With the
not.
plasma grenades.
Yeah, exactly.
I also, I mean, not to repeat anything you guys said, but I love the look, everything, and I think they did so good with the CGI here. Like I didn't really see any errors to me, like we saw in the first episode, where sometimes the elites would just look a bit janky. Like everything looked really good to me, so I think they nailed it here. One small thing that didn't really bother me, but I just noticed it, was that someone, like one of the Spartans, has a sniper rifle, and they take like 4 shots in a row, or 5 shots in a row. I'm like, no. There's 4 shots in a clip. I've played enough of this game. You can't do that. You're cheating. So I pointed that out. But it was so, we talked about this a lot. I feel like the last episode, maybe the one before, where it's like we just haven't been justified yet in why Master Chief is this badass, this legend that we've always heard about. And yeah, we did see a bit of it in the first episode, but it's really good to have that reminder, and just to see his tricks in battle here of just being really good with the Covenant weapons. I think was a good sign, like knowing exactly how to use a plasma pistol correctly, or the way he just like picks up a shotgun on the fly and like quickly does a 180 to take out a guy behind him, even using like the Jackal shield, like just so inventive in combat, so fast paced and so efficient. And even like this is kind of a different Chief too, because this is the emotional Chief. So even to have some rage built into it, and I'm sure we'll get into this one particular moment of it, but I just really like to see that. I think we really needed some Chief action, and I'm also very glad that he didn't do the thing with his helmet off, because that would have been so stupid. And so I'm glad that in battle he at least kept that thing on. And yeah, you're right, Kirkland. We did get the helmet cam, or the inside the helmet cam from the front view, which we didn't really get before. We kind of got like weird side views and top views and stuff. So it was nice that they did that. I mean, it was very quick, but at least they did it. We also got some more first-person cam, which I think once again is used tastefully. Like they don't overdo it, but it's kind of like a little homage to the games. So I like that. I could keep going, but there are definitely a lot here. But maybe we want to talk about that rage moment
Chief
with him and Kai, because that's kind of an interesting story part.
Dude, part of me was expecting him, because he just pops the helmet off every fucking 5 minutes, it seems. I thought he was going to just take the helmet off, beat the shit out of this poor elite with the helmet. Like, at that point, there's any excuse to take the helmet off. I feel like the show is just taking those moments. But yeah, no, like, I think in the moment, I kind of chuckled at just the ridiculousness of it. And you have Kai kind of like telling him to stop here. But it is an important scene to have in there, because it shows what the emotion brings to a soldier like that, especially like he I feel like even if he had the pellet in, he probably still, like, do you think he would have just focused on the mission, or do you think he still would have went after Kai? And I'm not saying he would have been all teary-eyed and everything like that. I feel like that's an effect of not having the pellet.
I think he leaves
just stick to the mission.
Yeah, that's like that's what they're trained to do, right?
Yeah, that's fair. I feel like I'm pulling that it's like never leave a man behind like type of mentality, and I feel like especially for a Spartan looking after another Spartan, I feel like they would kind of still have that.
Maybe I just feel like Halsey's command was like, get the artifact. I don't care what the cost is. She was once again like, her daughter's at risk, and she's like, it's okay, let's get the artifact. I really need that thing.
No,
so
fair enough.
I think you would have followed orders in that case.
And if that was the case, he probably would have fucking died, because what happened to everyone in that Warthog? Like, they just exploded, right? That had the artifact on there, which led to him mounting up on the Banshee. I totally thought he was going to just hijack the Banshee. I'm like, this is where it happens.
Nope.
I did like that.
No.
I don't mind him, like, just like starfish
like
underneath.
Inspector Gadget, when he's got like the helicopter through his helmet.
Yeah, that was a very gorgeous scene, though, like when he just sends that through the Covenant dropship, and you just see that jackal with its like whole guts just dragging as it's crawling.
Yeah.
Again, this show does not disappoint on the guts front.
Yeah, they're going for it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I guess going into that moment with Kai, where Kai, is very, as we mentioned, the emotions taking over, not doing the best in battle, and also her shield. Oh my god, that thing can take shots before that thing goes down.
She's playing on easy mode or something. You have like triple shield.
Yeah. She's or on story mode, just like taking pin shots.
Because when that alarm goes off, I feel like that's when you don't have a shield. And then she was still just like. And even when the elite was just beating on her too, like just actually just kicking her and just being aggressive.
So she's near death in this, but she doesn't die, right? Like, to me, it was kind of unclear. Like, they kind of cut away from her, like when she's bleeding out, it seems like. But I'm guessing if she died, like, we would have got some scene where like she takes her helmet off and then she's like, she like rolls over, her eyes roll to the back of her head. Of course, I think we would have seen that. So I'm guessing she's still alive. Are you guys on the same page with that part?
She's fine.
I don't know if she's good and fine.
Pretty brutal.
She's alive.
Off-screen kill her off. And then you have Vanek, like all that gun grease finally went to her head.
He just has no sympathy. But yeah, I think the more interesting part here is that when Chief comes over to save her and is just beating the shit out of this elite, and he's just going ham. He's nonstop. He's punching his way through this thing's skull, and she's like very emotionally roused by this. She's not into it at all, but he keeps going. So what do you guys think of this from Chief's perspective? One, as someone who no longer has the emotion pellet in him, but two, from Kai's perspective.
Yeah, it was interesting. I don't know. It didn't sit with me like much more than just like, okay, this is him like going off the rails. Like, this is just the emotion like actually getting to him. He's getting emotionally compromised here. But like, yeah, I think more than that, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I'm kind of mixed on it. I'm excited to see kind of where this goes from that. It's funny. I kept thinking of like the Batman, when like Batman's just like beating on that one character, and then you have like Selena Kyle's like reaction to like stop, like what's going on here. It's funny just like kind of comparing the two to that, because it's a pretty similar situation.
Sure.
It's It's funny. I feel like I've been in that situation, maybe playing Halo, and there's just my part I can't fucking get by, and then I finally kill that one brute that's just murdering me every single time, and I'm just like, fuck you.
I'm glad you clarified the situation. Not a real life debacle.
Yeah, go up and teabag the elite. Like, what if Master Chief teabag? That would be just.
Oh man.
Not
That'd be
my
maybe
Master
too
Chief.
far.
Maybe that is my Master Chief.
It's a good like end credit, post credit. Anyway.
Taylor, what do you think?
I didn't like him just beating this elite to shit. Like, just it didn't. Again, that didn't feel like Master Chief. And again, people that don't play the games, don't read the books, they're probably not necessarily going to know this kind of. They're not going to have anything different to base this off of. The only time you really see Master Chief not even get emotionally compromised, but beat someone to shit. Here's a little backstory for you guys. When he was still, he wasn't a kid. He was probably like teenager, young adult years, and he was training in the gym on Reach, UNSC gym, and 3 ODSTs came in, and the rivalry between ODSTs and Spartans is strong because ODSTs they don't like Spartans. They think that it's ridiculous, and there's a
Aren't they
stigma between the
Spartans?
two.
Aren't
ODSTs.
Oh, okay.
No, they're not. They're just regular humans. And they have this hatred kind of, or like, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. So anyways, these 3 ODSTs go in there and John beats the shit out of them and it, like, absolutely fucking
Like
docks
unprovoked.
them. I think it was they went in there and they provoked
Well, you
him
got
a little
gun grease
bit.
in your hair.
Yeah.
Yeah, like literally, that's what I had in my mind right there.
They
That's so
they
funny.
provoked him a little bit, and then it turns out, okay, this is all an experiment. That actually, like, the head higher up sent these 3 ODSTs in there to see how much damage this kid could do, and I feel like fuck, I just lost my train of thought. Actually, where was I going with this?
The
No, no, no.
ODST, the 3v1, and this is like Chief showing his emotion.
Right, thank you. Yeah, the emotions. Yeah, so seeing him get like emotionally just beating the shit out of this elite, which wasn't doing it for me. I didn't need it because, like, I get it. Like, he's Master Chief emotions right now, and it just was. I get it, and it just wasn't good. I didn't like it, so yeah.
I want to get a flashback of this 3v1. I just picture some like really cheesy like high school type thing. It's like, oh, I saw you hanging with my girlfriend, Chief, and he's brought his boys, like the other 2 ODSTs, and then we just have Chief beat the show. That's funny. I'm sure it's a lot more serious, like in the books as you portray, but of course, I got gun grease in my hair, so
I heard you couldn't let that boy drop off the monkey bars.
What are you, a fucking pussy?
Oh no. Now I'm just picturing Kai sitting there, just seeing this and being like, "Oh, come on, what are you showing me?" Like, I can't get that meme out of my fucking head.
Yeah.
So I mean, here's the thing. Also, they their goal is to get the artifact, and the Covenant just come on in. They get it. They're out of there.
And
so the mission has failed. So that's interesting.
Yeah, definitely. And we got our first look at a brute, I think, up to this point, right? I was kind of wondering like what was going to happen with the brutes. And again, I'm not very well versed in Halo. I couldn't even remember if like the brutes were on the side of the Covenant or if they were their own thing. Because I feel like in the newest game, like the brutes are kind of their own thing. Or am I completely wrong there? Are they still part?
That's an interesting story. Like,
okay.
So you have
we
like
can save it for another time.
Remind me
long.
for the next episode.
Okay.
It's good. It's juicy.
I think we talked about that on the second episode, Taylor. Because I had the same question, I think.
Oh, okay. I'll listen to that.
Maybe.
I don't think I've listened to that episode. Get my answers. But anyways, very cool looking brute. I thought the CGI looked on him just fucking awesome. I liked how he had like kind of like a little goatee like braid thing. Just had like his own like unique look to him. And to see like a brute live action, just like fucking 8 feet tall, whatever the hell he was, he looked badass. I love that he had a gravity hammer too. Like I'm assuming that's a gravity hammer. It's
It
the only
looked a
type
bit
of hammer I've
different,
seen.
but I think it was.
Yeah.
So.
Just really cool. I think part of me wanted like an actual like boss fight type thing there where maybe Master Chief like almost has him, but then maybe some like emotionally compromised thing like weakens him, and then that's why he loses, because it would have a lot more like meaning to like maybe like just again leaning in that camp, like maybe taking the pellet out was a mistake. I think that like there's some potential there. But still, it was just cool to see a brute on live action.
It was very, very cool.
And the last thing for me is that, the what's her called? Her name, the Blessed One, right? She kind of gets dropped off with the UNSC, and she's going to kind of do some infiltration. I mean, I don't know if there's much to dig into that now, since it's kind of like the cliffhanger for the episode leading into the next one. But I'm really excited to see that interaction. Like, that's going to be, I think, a fun storyline to dig into next episode.
I couldn't agree more. I'm very stoked to see how that goes. Her storyline and progress in this show is definitely working for me now.
Is what planet was she originally yanked from? Like in that flashback?
Junker planet. I can't remember the name of it though.
Because I am intrigued to find out what the tie is between, because it seems like there is a tie between her and Chief. Like I think she even had that dialogue like, oh, there's someone like me, like out there. Or I again, complete paraphrasing, completely forget what she said specifically, but there is some tie there, and I'm excited to find out what it is. Part of me was just like, they're just gonna be fucking siblings, isn't it? This is gonna be like the whole whole tie there. I hope not. No, definitely not. But yeah, it's kind of funny. We got her like fingernail energy sword. What was that even used for? Just to like kind of cut herself or something, like to show that she's damaged or something. Or
I kind of missed it. I don't know. Like I know what you're talking about, but I don't really understand what was going on there either.
She just like showed it. And she's like, make it convincing or something.
Well, she used that to kill the captain the last episode, or in the past episodes, right? Episode 3, I think.
Yeah. No, but she had it in this episode.
Like, I thought she just had it, was just like playing with it, I thought.
It's like a fidget spinner.
Fuck, probably, yeah. I don't really have much else to add. Again, it's something that I'm kind of excited to learn about next episode. Yeah, no. I don't know. I feel like that character, for whatever reason, for me, it started like I feel like since her introduction, it was like kind of at a peak, and then it's kind of been decreasing ever since. I don't know what it is. I think maybe it's just hitting me more of like, it's kind of weird just having a human.
It's probably just screen time, man. I feel like a couple episodes she was either not in it at all or in it for like 30 seconds or something.
I think initially too, I was like, oh, she has a cool look to her. Like, what is this going on of having like a human kind of with the higher ups of the Covenant? But the more they just see her as like this blessed one and Messiah, type character. Keep word of the day for me. Keep bringing that one up. But I think it's just, I don't know. I need more before I judge it, I guess. But yeah, I don't know. Leave it at there. Final thoughts, boys. Episode 5.
I'm excited for next week. It's left off in a good spot.
Yeah, this is definitely a higher ranking episode for me. Definitely up there.
I random thing that popped in my head that I had a question for Taylor. In that moment when Chief is just beating on the elites and you said it wasn't really hitting you, I don't know why this came to me. What's your feeling on the elites? Like, are you like, they're cool characters, they're misunderstood, or are you just like they're meat for the cannon fodder? Like what are they for your perspective? Very random question, but still.
No, it's actually, I think it's a good question. That's something that actually it kind of hit me sentimentally, seeing the elite just being like bludgeoned and just beat down, because to me that's what grunts are. Grunts are the cannon fodder. The elites have such a rich backstory to them. And that's where the Arbiter comes into play. I'm sure we get that at some point. But the elites, for the most part, they admire humans. And some were even as far as, like, let's let humans join the Covenant. Because the further humanity got pushed back to their core worlds, the more stronger and defiant they got. And the elites were one of the only Covenant races that were admiring humans for their determination, even in the face of annihilation. So I hold the elites in high regard.
Okay, yeah, I figured. I mean, I don't really have much Halo knowledge, but still for me, maybe because, like, the Arbiter was just, like, one of the characters that you played in Halo 2, maybe Halo 3 is kind of when he's playable, but nonetheless, like in that, like every time I see an elite, there's just I hold them in higher regard than other Covenant type characters. And I wanted to pick your brain, Dylan. I don't know, very quickly, do you have any thoughts really on elites, or not really? They're just a Covenant character.
They're just cool looking villains for me. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't have
Fair
the
enough.
story perspective as a very kind of casual story enjoyer of the Halo games.
Yeah. Taylor, you piqued my interest, though, because I have a buddy at work that's lending me actually all the Halo books. So eventually one day I'll get through them all. And
that Reach trilogy, like when you get through it, let me know.
Yeah, that's the first one, right?
Like if you want to be the very, very first one, Harvest is the first novel I'd suggest reading. Yeah.
Interesting. Anyways, boys, that was fun.
That was fun.
That was
episode
good.
5.
That was good.
Glad I was on it. These are just fun reviews. No matter the quality of the show, they're fun. I think Travis is gonna listen to this and he's like, I'm missing out, especially when he hears the penguin pop in.
I hope he doesn't feel like we stole that. I just think it's so good. Hopefully it's a universal meme and not just one that he feels like he's got the lock on.
I hope I start hearing on like other like Ultimate Alliance things. The Marvel Alliance, they're popping on here.
Echoes throughout the
yeah, exactly.
That fucking line.
Oh, well, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back next week with episode 6 of Halo. Well, until next time, we'll see you in the search bar.
See you, everyone. Bye.
Peace.